The human-like face of each praetor is then ripped away at birth by midwives of living.
Ow. Of course they're going to do child mutilation. Why the fuck not?
Why they can use magic while fighting. Right, moving on to another potential leader of theirs, but certainly a noble of their court, the sorcerer, who is more so a breed of shape-shifting demon than anything else. The name comes from the fact they are unparalleled when it comes to the use of goetic spells and powers, and this is one thing that gives them an unparalleled advantage
So what makes them different
over anything else. The few times both a praetor and a sorcerer are in a warband, but it's the sorcerer who's in charge, it is because the praetor is being forced to serve, either by command of a patron lord, or bound by the sorcerer's magics, who is tricked.
Interesting, a patron lord. So praetors are under patron lords. Interesting.
Them in some way. Despite their shifting appearance, you will be able to spot them quite quickly, for not only do they have multiple arms, and even multiple heads, but they are known for levitating around the battlefield safely, traversing over no man's land. But the thing that all...
Wait, I wonder how they're going to put that into plastic. You brought a levitating unit.
Possess that makes it clear it's truly a sorcerer is the dark tablets they will often have within one of their arms.
Okay.
While
Dark
there are
tablets,
many
sorcerers.
The ones that are worth noting and fighting on Earth are the ones who undertake the trial to gain one of these dreaded goetic tablets. And how they get them is an ordeal. For just as Yahweh gave his laws atop a holy mountain, so does hell provide its powers of dark arts from pinnacles of hell. To find the tablets,
interesting. There's a parallel there to Moses. How the tablet, the 10 Commandments were given to him. Okay. So now they have to go to the this particular segments of hell in order to get their tablets for their magical powers. Interesting.
Blind augurs and soothsayers who wandered too far to seek enlightenment and found damnation instead. After listening to the clues of their diviners, sorcerers study the ancient lore and ever-shifting maps of hell that fill their blasphemous libraries. When the time and place is discerned, a great expedition is mounted to discover one of these priceless tablets. It may take decades, or centuries, or even millennia to find the tablets, for time in hell flows in uneven waves, shifting back and forth, and the winds of hell are ever-changing and filled with many strange and deadly creatures. When the expedition reaches the appointed mountain, the sorcerer...
I mean, speaking of creatures within hell itself, that actually describes them as mortal, that they have as much to fear of their surroundings. I mean, like we do. So, I don't know. Something. It's definitely something.
Must climb to the top, alone. The mountain's crown is ringed with standing stones that hum with a coiled power, and above the stones a great pillar of smoke hangs like an abscess in the sky, and fell voices whisper from it. The sorcerer enters the ring, praying to his dark masters that he will return with the prized tablet. Then the presence in the smoke judges them. Most are found unworthy, and the tablet melts their body over 7 years.
Wait, what was that? Wait, that's a parallel. This is a juxtaposition to... What was that? Hold on. I have to check. What was that? All right, got it. This whole thing, or this particular ritual right here, it's a parallel to the Ark of the Covenant. So if you guys have seen Indiana Jones, something similar supposedly happens. But anyways, I mean, The Ark is supposedly somewhere in Ethiopia that's protected by a village. Was it Ethiopia or somewhere in Africa? It's being kept in a village. And the purpose of that entire village is to protect this one little church where the supposed Ark is located. And here's the thing, right? Some Hunger Games stuff or some Hunger Games lottery stuff is happening over there in that particular village because what happens is that they appoint a guardian via elections or something. I'm not sure if it's by appointment or by elections. Anyways, once a guy gets chosen, he will be locked in that church along with the supposed Ark. And he's going to be there for life. So those that are in the short list for appointments, for being appointed to basically guard the Ark within the church, makes a run for it or has a habit of basically running for their lives. So anyways, it's a parallel to the Ark of the Covenant. So if you guys remember that Indiana Jones film, what happened when they tried to open the Ark?
Is draining its tarnished divinity to enhance the spells inscribed
No,
on
that's
the
thing.
tablet
Tarnished
for a more
divinity.
worthy sorcerer to find. In the rare case of when a sorcerer returns with one of the tablets, armies of demon scribes must translate and decipher what it does before it is returned to the sorcerer to wield as they see fit. Right, well that's enough of the
To
sorcerers.
wield as
Let
they
me now
see
move on
fit.
to another, the strange hunters of the left-hand path. In reality, they are more of a cult of hunters with demonic blood rather than soldiers, and indeed they have the right to just ignore a call for war should it not interest them, as many are wont to do. But in hell, they are known for one thing: the stalking of its hinterlands in order to hunt the wild animals and beasts of hell.
There we go. See,
that is much harder.
Very mortal. That's a very mortal interpretation of hell, to hunt the wild beasts of hell. That they have as much reason to be afraid of their surroundings. Just as we are, or just like we are. So, interesting.
Than it sounds. When a demon joins the rank of the hunters, they take an initiation, where they mutate upon their left arm, driving into it nails of infernal iron forged in the foundries of the city of Pandemonium.
Of course, they wouldn't be above self-mutilation. They already mutilate children, why not themselves?
Are the weapons they are famed for, and while most of them just kill you, they have also been known to paralyze their prey and even induce visions, often that of their own future demise, traumatizing you
then what's the point?
For no reason other than their amusement. When hunters do join warbands, it's either because they really want something they are offering them, or they are just doing it for sport, wanting to hunt us and our warbands instead of wild monsters, perhaps taking parts of us as trophies. But they are exceptionally skilled in this, able to sneak up on the best of us.
You can see the Elven, or the what was the name of that faction at 40k faction again? Very Slaanesh, the ones who follow Slaanesh. You could definitely see the inspiration over here.
And wipe out whole squads and kill teams without making so much as a single sound.
Hunter-killer.
So despite their rarity, you should always keep an eye out for them. For a split second, maybe all you get to react.
Interesting.
Next, I wish to speak of the damned Hell Knights.
Hell Knights.
There are few ways one can become a Hell Knight. Perhaps as a reward for a mortal follower, a heretic legionary who had done so well, they will reward them. Or another, much darker one.
So the reward is more pain and more killing? Like I said, what would be the point? Look at your environment. Is this a place where you actually want to live? I mean, you could definitely see when you juxtapose the Sultanate and the Christian armies, is that they're trying to preserve their way of life, or they're trying to hold on to what they have. Compared to this, what exactly do you get out of all of this? Why would you want this? they're most likely going to be slaves, but why would you actually go above and beyond the call of duty in this one? Because here's the thing, right? It's easy to see the sultanates and the Christian forces that they would actually go above and beyond the call of duty in order to preserve what they have. During the siege of Britain, when the Luftwaffe was flying overhead, there wasn't a single case of desertion from the Royal Air Force, despite the fact that their officers were so liberal with giving out vacation or weekend passes. Because it was a psyop in a sense that their officers knew that giving them passes would remind them of what they were fighting for. Their families, their loved ones, their friends. And if you don't have any of that, you get to party like a rock star. So, here's the thing, right? What exactly are you fighting for here in this particular environment? Why would you go above beyond the call of duty? Why would you go and actually look forward to this type of reward?
Remember when I said the likes of praetors can fail and be discarded? Well, how do you think they do that exactly? Regardless of whether it's a failed demon or mortal champion, the would-be Hell Knight is destroyed in body and soul. It is then ripped and warped, contracted and splintered, time and time again, until the being is far from recognition, and magically repurposed, bound permanently within a suit of armor, where they have no choice but to obey the orders of those around them.
There we go, no choice but to obey.
Of hell. Despite their...
Because why would you fight for a place like this? What exactly is waiting for you at home in a place like this?
Now lack of ambition, they are quite formidable and capable, often armed with the best equipment forged by the household smiths deep within the bowels of the demon lords.
Very chaos space marine.
Making each warband's Hell Knights stand out. While that and the strange floating candles that slowly follow a Hell Knight wherever they suddenly march. The more candles they have, the more capable they are of goetic powers and spells. Let's now move on to the grunts of the warband.
So I guess these candles serve as counters during the tabletop. These are, I guess, this is like the equivalent of how many orders or how many shenanigans they can do during a particular game. Is that how it's going to work? I should really accept that invitation for a demo, but come on! There's child mutilation in the game. I don't think the whole thing's for me. Because there's only so much grim dark that I can actually take. But you know what? For you guys, I'd probably accept that invitation at a certain point in time. I find the lore definitely fascinating since, you know, we have the opportunity to grow along with it. Anyways, let's keep on moving.
Starting with the lowest form there is that would still class as a demon despite how little blood they have.
Diluted blood.
The yoke
Mud bloods.
The twisted stillbirths of cursed devils.
Ew.
1,000 generations growing ever more debased and feeble. And
debased and feeble.
With beasts of the field by sadistic infernal bio-priests.
Ew.
These least of all demon kind.
Bio-priests. Alright, so that's something like tech priests of Mars?
Are kept in servitude until even after the stars go out. Lacking intelligence, tortured by their own perverse existence, and filled with malice. They are fit for nothing but the crudest of tasks. Despite their lowly nature, they are often around 8 feet tall and filled with an ungodly rage for, well, everything.
So definitely beasts of burden in every sense of the word.
Taking out their anger, however, on those they can get away with, be it their foes or the only thing under them in the warband. The wretched mortal slaves.
Mortal slaves.
Yoke fiends are also branded, with large chunks of their flesh being carved out with the markings of their masters.
Ew.
If any demon is to do any form of manual labor, it is to be done by the yoke fiends. But their fate
Okay.
is still better than that of the wretched, the only true mortals of their warbands,
Ah,
for they are here as slaves of war, alone, often taken by the heretic legions to be given as gifts to their demonic masters, where
huh.
they will be tortured forever and serve fates worse than death. See, many goetic spells require the drawing of mortal blood, and while they can use the enemy, it's a lot safer and more reliable to just keep a wretched nearby to draw blood from when needed. Every
Okay.
one of the wretched is carved with the same marks the yoke fiends are, but also given flesh-eating tattoos as a safeguard against escape.
As a safeguard against escape, but what about self-deletion?
They are heavily drugged to degrade and dull their will while still leaving their aggression intact. Heretic
Interesting.
elites discard their lives carelessly, as the sacrifice of their life on the battlefield counts as a virtuous deed and will be rewarded by their patrons. In other words, the more wretched suffer and die,
What exactly would be the reward after this? What exactly are they looking forward to after all of this? That's the question.
the more the demons are rewarded.
Ah,
There is a dark glimmer of hope for them, though, for it is
really
clear
now?
in their laws that if a wretched manages to kill a foe of hell, they will be set free, where they will run for their life and probably proceed to step on a landmine or something equally horrible.
Huh.
But that's even if they are allowed to get close enough to the enemy to get the chance, which some of them never will. Let me move on to a commonly used beast under hell.
So they're all
the
drugged
pit
out or something.
locust. For this entity actually has no mortal blood at all, but is still not really a demon, in the
Ew.
same way that a deer is not a man. Just because it comes from the same realm does not mean it is the same class of creature. Regardless,
Okay.
these are giant lion-mawed monsters, and are venerated by hell. For it is said that when the gate of hell first opened, it is one of these that was the first through it. Since then, they have
Definitely
been
the dogs
used
of
by
war.
the court commonly, in the same way that one of our hunting parties might use a dog. Only these are covered in metal armor, and flying around trying to eat as many people as they can, often as a
So
reward
it's capable
by
of
the
flight.
warband for doing what they
Definitely
were told.
terrifying.
Their foul buzzing of their wings is often the first thing you will hear when their warbands are on.
So there's a warning like the Stuka.
But the last thing I wish to speak of is probably the most sad, for its potential and implication is foul by its very nature. The desecrated saint, the most prized possessions of the lords of hell, men and women who once were destined to become saints, great prophets, or holy ones according to God's plan.
Okay, so what's the implication then? Earlier he was talking about that they would basically, raid an entire village or an entire town simply to kill a woman that's about to give birth to a saint.
But who were led astray and fell from grace. Many of them were once righteous rulers or religious leaders dedicated to bringing prosperity and glory to the people. But pride, desperation, or an eagerness to achieve martyrdom led them to commit.
So that's the implication, that they all fell from grace. They all fell from grace. Well, if a living saint or a desecrated saint can fall from grace, I mean, the implication would be, what does that say about us regular humans then?
An indelible sin or evil.
Indelible sin or
often
evil.
For the motives they believed to have been good and pure. Some sacrificed living humans, thinking it was what was demanded of them. Others carried on wars after they were commanded to stop. Or some sought to do miracles.
Wait, living human sacrifices. Wait, the parallel would be then to Abraham when he was commanded to sacrifice his firstborn. And then next would be Caesar, who carried on his wars in Gaul, despite the Senate telling him to stop and stuff like that.
Miracles through
Oh,
magic.
interesting.
When their deeds led to their downfall and death, they were entombed inside unholy reliquaries.
Ah,
Only
sarcophagi.
to wake
So
in hell, still in
wait, where do we see it? Where can you see it? So that thingy in the middle is the equivalent of a sarcophagus and the dreadnought. Okay, so this is their version of the dreadnought, the desecrated saint.
encased in the shrine that had now become their prison. A
Mm.
walking machine of evil with the corpse of a would-be saint inside.
Corpse, alright,
Due
not a
to
living
the
one.
devastation of the saint's mission to the service of evil, a dark aura surrounds
Corpse, alright, not a living
Within
actual
this
saint.
area, the laws of God are perverted or cease to exist entirely. Down is up, strength is weakness, and the strongest of shields and armor are as brittle as glass.
There we
A
go.
wailing potent of doom, a shadow of corruption that marches forward. Another
Ooh.
kill on sight target.
Kill on sight.
Not
Alright,
just to
priority
save ourselves, but for what mercy you have left
for the saint.
for the saint.
Okay.
The court of the seven-headed serpent is everything that is wrong with our world in physical form. The
Ew.
purest manifestation of evil
Ew.
as an army that want to rule everything. The worst of your fears cannot begin
Realize.
to describe the horrors they will do unto all of mankind. A perfect example of what we must fight, and the
We have to
perfect
fight it.
cure for any doubt that our task is a noble one, for ending such a foe under any circumstance.
I mean, who wants to live in a
is
place like that?
righteous. Now, if you excuse me, I have to have some words with the trench cleric.
All
I
right.
feel foul just uttering all I have
Ugh.
today. I apologize, soldier, but I feel this information was needed.
Yep.
You are dismissed.
No, we need to know the enemy.
For listening to my tales. I'm the Ashspawn. Feel free to leave a like, comment, or subscribe.
Yes,
It would
we
really
will.
mean a lot to me. But, till next to me, fellow chaplain. Have a good day.
Good day. Bye. Thank you for watching, guys. Now, if you want me to check out other stories here on YouTube, please let me know in the comments. We upload every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard. Please like, share, subscribe, do the whole notification button thing to help me out with the algo. And don't forget to check out our Twitch channel where you can catch me do this live. Now, class dismissed.